Another record month for Calgary real estate with no slowing down in sight. This chart here indicates that the total residential benchmark price for homes in Calgary has reached $564,000. So let's go check it out. Hi, my name is Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you're looking to create a game plan or if you just want a little bit more personalized information about the Calgary real estate market, go ahead and book a call. It's the very first link in the description. So let's start this off like normal by looking at the Calgary Real Estate Board's written description of what's going on in this market. Now, year-to-date sales in Calgary are currently down 23% compared to last year, but prices are continuing to increase. The inventory levels for June stood at 3,458 units, making a decline of over 36% from last year, reaching the lowest levels for June in nearly 2 decades. With the amount of people moving here and such a low amount of inventory and a lack of new listings, pricing is continuing to increase even though the sales are down. The current market conditions continue to favor the seller. So as a buyer or an investor, it is very important for you to create a game plan well in advance to figure out what you need to prepare for when stepping into the market. As a seller, a lot of the conditions are favoring you. So it's still very important to create a game plan because not every seller is finding the success that they expect. So make sure to book a call if you want more information about these individual things. So let's step this back real quick and look at this graph that we started with. You can see that the red line is the benchmark price, the blue bar is inventory, and the green bar is sales. Now, the red line has drastically increased, the blue bar has drastically decreased, and the green bar has also increased. You can see just how tight the sales and inventory has gotten over the last 3 months, especially when you compare it to June, July, August of last year, where that gap was quite large between inventory and sales. It is good to see that the gap has increased a little bit, meaning that there's a little bit more inventory in this market, but there's still a lot of movement and there's still a lot of upwards pressure on price. So here's a quick snapshot of each individual property type in all of Calgary. You can see that the total residential, so all property types morphed into one, is $564,000, up 4.4% from last year. Detached, semi-detached, row, and apartments are all up considerable amounts from last year, with apartments and townhouses seeing the biggest increases of over 11%. Now, when you start to see benchmark price, you're curious of what that is. This snapshot here is the total residential benchmark price in Calgary. It is a 3-bedroom home with a double attached garage, 1,300 square foot. It has 1 half bath, 3 full baths, forced air with natural gas, a total of 8 rooms, 1 fireplace, and built in 2001. And most importantly, has a poured concrete foundation. So when you see total benchmark price of $564,000, this is what you would get. Now, this is the average of all of Calgary. Each individual quadrant and community is going to differ. Every quadrant is going to be a little bit more or less expensive than this average here. Now, moving along, if you're curious to see what each individual property type is doing in Calgary, the Calgary Real Estate Board has given a written description of them all. So feel free to pause the video and give this a read if you're curious about what's going on. Now, it's a good time to remind you that planning is very important in a market like this. You don't want to just hop in last minute and get burnt by 1 or 2 properties. It's very important to read and understand what's going on here, but then also diving into your individual community or quadrant of interest and figuring out what's going on there. So let's go forward. Now, moving along, this is where we start to relate this to your personal situation. This is a breakdown of Calgary. This is a screenshot of what's going on for benchmark prices for total residential in every quadrant of Calgary. So we go back to the benchmark attributes that we talked about before. You can see that the Northwest 607, Southeast 549, City Center 599, and so on and so forth. You can see that every quadrant has actually increased from last year. And it is quite interesting to see, as an example, and I brought this up before, Calgary East being 383,800, and then you go all the way to the west and it's 685,900 for similar product. Pretty wild difference there for about a 30-minute commute, if that. Now finally, the microeconomic breakdown of every single property type in every single quadrant in Calgary. This is where it's going to best relate for your personal situation. If you're looking for a detached, apartment, semi-detached in a specific quadrant, this graph is for you. Now, I will break this down in a lot more detail in the individual property type videos. So make sure to give this a pause and look at the individual quadrant of your interest. As an example, Detached homes in city center had a sales to new listing ratio of 73%. The inventory was 356 left over. Months of supply is 2, which is still a seller's market. If you look at places like north, northwest, southeast, and east, they all had under 1 month of supply, which is very much a seller's market, meaning that all the product would move in less than a month if no new buyers came to the market and no new listings came to the market either. Now, these are the individual benchmark prices for those property types in those quadrants, the year-over-year percentages, and then the month-over-month percentages. Now, I will break down the month-over-month percentages in each individual property type video, so keep an eye out for that as they do get uploaded throughout the week. So where is Calgary headed? That is $1 million question. Nobody can really know, but if I had to guess from the numbers that I've been seeing over the last few months, Calgary does not have any slowdown in sight. You can see that the red bar is the price point, and the price point is gone up dramatically in the last 3 years. Now, some of the key indicators that I follow are net migration. Now, the net migration for Q1 2023 for Alberta was 51,000 residents. That means 51,000 new residents moved to Alberta, most likely seeking homes. Again, this is province-wide Calgary. I wasn't able to find Calgary specific numbers, but for Alberta, being as small as it is compared to other major states out there, other major cities, is 51,000 is quite a bit. And a good majority of those people, in my opinion, have come to Calgary. Now, when you look at the Canadian net migration, we have also increased a dramatic amount since 2015 per se on this chart. You can see that this is a breakdown of every province. Now, Ontario is seen over 100,000 people move in Q1 of 2023, with second place being Alberta. Ontario is usually a first start for a lot of people, and then they realize that Ontario is not that great, and then they'll come over to Alberta, like a lot of you are probably deciding who are watching my channel. And then the next stat that I'm going to watch really closely is the unemployment rate. Now, the unemployment rate, in my opinion, is going to be very interesting because we have so many people moving here. I personally don't believe Calgary is going to have enough jobs in its immediate future to kind of keep all of the residents in our city. Now, you can see that the unemployment rate in Calgary is 6.3%, which is down compared to, I believe we were all the way upwards of, you can see actually here during COVID and the pandemic, we're up to 15 and we dropped dramatically. Now, we have gone up since January 2022, so it will be very interesting to see how many new residents come here and how well the job market is going to hold those residents here. So those two numbers, in my opinion, are very important to watch. That plus other things as well. So when you start to look and compare it across the country, Alberta is only about 6% unemployment rate. When you start looking at places like Newfoundland, PEI, and New Brunswick, unfortunately, they have a little bit of a higher than we do. So that leaves us with a lot of uncertainty. So all we can do is look at the previous month's stats, figure out how they're going to best relate to your personal situation, and then make educated decisions based off those numbers. So if you have any questions, go ahead, drop a comment, send me an email, or book a call. Thank you very much for everyone who supported this channel so far. I'm really excited to dive into these numbers every single month in the coming months. Make sure to follow the individual property type videos as I release them throughout the week. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.